Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to give 1 to 2 minutes to let everyone get settled before we get started. All right. Welcome, agents. Join us in welcoming Brian Maschka from Revol One. With over 20 years of experience in the financial services industry, Brian now serves as the Regional Vice President at Revol One. Discover the innovative solutions that Revol One can offer your clients and see how their groundbreaking products can drive your clients forward towards their financial goals. Get valuable insights into Revol One, their products, and much more right here, right now. Thank you so much, Brian. I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Emmy. I appreciate the introduction. That's very nice of you. Good morning to everyone. Hopefully you were able to make the first round of the Revol One story. If you didn't, I will go ahead and just kind of recap some things that we covered on the first round. And then the second round, we're going to introduce a newer product that for Revol One. And then from there, we can answer any questions or concerns you have. So as those pop up during the presentation here, just put those into the Q&A or put that into the chat, and Emmy will grab those for us at the end. So as we go here, I just kind of want to open up with this one thought, and it hit me this morning as I was getting ready to do this presentation. I remember a really highly respected, well-known person that was in this industry by the name of Jack Marion. And Jack Marion, I believe, has since retired, and he was kind of the guru on annuities, fixed annuities, if you will. And I think since then that torch has now been passed to Cheryl Moore. So shout out to Cheryl Moore, I guess. But Jack Marion would always, in front of the group, ask the agents or the planners, the financial planners, which one of these indexes performs the best. And typically we'd have a whole bunch of hands go up and people would give their insight as to which one and why. So I kind of want to start off and kick off with which one of the indexes performs the best. We'll come back to that. Let's I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video here just so you don't see me moving about, my eyes darting all over the place, because I'm trying to run a few different screens here. And so I'll just go ahead and turn that off so that you can focus here on the presentation. By the way, we do have some handouts that you can find in the presentation that are available to you and covers just about everything that we talk about today. So welcome to the Revolution Coalition. We're a new company. Oh, there's compliance. They say hello. So there's that. But here is the founders of what we call the pack. You'll see this reoccurring theme here with the cheetahs. And it's really kind of fun. It sets us apart, makes us look a little bit different than a lot of the other insurance companies out there. And we think what that represents is just our agileness, our nimbleness, our ability to process quickly, answer the phones fast. And it really is going to make a difference going forward. But our two visionaries here are up on the screen. The first one is Cindy Reed. She's our Chief Executive Officer. And she really has a good understanding of what it is in the field that you all struggle with. She retired from another big insurance company here in Des Moines, Iowa, which is where I'm calling you from today. And she ended up in a retail shop, and she noticed that there was a lot of waiting around on the telephone, trying to get answers, getting the wrong answers, and then having to call back. And she just thought, you know what, that doesn't seem right. So she was asked to go back into the insurance business here and kind of revolutionize this business by what we're doing here at Revol One. Plus, she also laughed and said, Brian, I can only play so much pickleball in retirement. It gets kind of boring. So back to work for Cindy, and we're glad to have her. And the other visionary there that you see on the screen is Mark Zesbaugh. Mark has been in the insurance business for a very, very long time. He's bought companies, sold companies. He understands how to run an insurance business. And really, he's looked around out there and he says, hey, the status quo is pretty normal right now. It's pretty average. It's not very hard to be successful when everybody else is so average. And so he's kind of flipped that playbook and changed that playbook. And we'll touch on a couple of things here, but then we'll get into the meat of the presentation here that'll help you guide clients. And actually, it'll probably be something that your competition down the road is not showing your prospects and clients currently. So we'll get to that. I say we're brand new and we're a startup. That's partially true in that we were founded in 1980. It's an insurance company that's domiciled in Michigan. And when we partnered with them, we were immediately licensed in 49 states. So we had a national platform right out of the gate. That's very exciting for us. And one of the things that Cindy knew is that here in Des Moines, which is Urbandale, it's just a small suburb outside of Des Moines, all the insurance talent is here in Des Moines, Iowa. We're really the insurance capital of the world, if you will. And so why not put the administrative building or the administrative offices right here in Des Moines, Iowa? Most people that you will call at the office there will have at least a minimum of 10 years experience in this industry. And so it kind of feels like we were able to go around the city and kind of cherry pick the best of the best. And just recently, a few weeks ago, we got our B++ AM Best rating. We think that's actually, during these times, a very, very good rating, considering that we are newer to the market. And so we're very happy with a B++ rating. I think we've been in production now for, oh gosh, I'm going to probably get it wrong. It feels longer, but it's probably only 8 or 10 weeks that we've actually been in production on the annuity side of business. So we're happy to have that B++. Things are going well. We're meeting our targets, meeting our goals. And Cindy can't wait. That is, Cindy Reed can't wait to go back next year and try to get a higher S&P rating. In fact, she says she won't rest until that gets up to an A. So we'll see next year if we have an update for you. So we like to kind of call this your company, your way. We realize that out in the field, doing business is not all that easy when you have an insurance company that gets in the way and delays or gives you wrong answers or does whatever they can at times, it seems, to mess things up for you. So it's really about you and your company, your way. Which leads us to your annuity, your way. The annuities that we're going to be talking about today is the one over there on the right-hand side. It's a 6-year FIA. Now, if you missed the first go-around, we did talk about the Accelera multi-year guarantee, the MIGA. Those rates have since come down since that first meeting that we had. Right now, we have a 3-year at 5.55. We have that 5-year at 5.65. And the 7 years at 5.85. What we found out is that we might have been sticking out on the rates a little bit. And so we were higher than everybody else. If we were able to drop just a little bit, come to find out, we're still higher than other people. So check out those rates if you haven't already. Full commission through 80. And that's really the foundation, the basic product with Revol One. Now, if you look there in the middle, that's the Accelera Plus. That is a MIGA with a plus to it. The plus part of that is the hybrid or best of both worlds, if you will. It's very, very unique to the marketplace. And the cool thing is NFI Solutions has all these products that are listed here. And we urge you to call them and ask more questions about that, especially that hybrid product. I'll leave you with this. 4% or 80% of the S&P. That's the plus of it. You have the 4% MIGA-like rate or an 80% participation rate on the S&P 500. Your consumer gets both. It's the greater of at the end of the period. So we do have 3, 5, and 7-year options on that. I urge you to call them and ask, what is this for is the floor? Just say that to them and they'll know what you're talking about. But for today's discussion, we're really going to focus over here on the right-hand side, which is our Endurus fixed indexed annuity. It's a simple 6-year accumulation product. And really, if I can back up for just a second, 20 years in this business, I've kind of found out two things, or I guess I've categorized, I should say, consumers / agents into really two camps. The first camp is the camp that says, I think I can accumulate money and then take a reasonable withdrawal rate, and I think I can make it through retirement. And that's fine. That is a way, that is a strategy that you can do out there. The other camp says, you know what? I like this idea of guaranteed income. And I want to make sure that I have my bases covered or my basics covered. And as long as I get those basics covered, everything over the top of that is just extra. So for today's sake of argument, we're going to be talking about camp number 1. Camp number 1, again, remember, says, hey, I can grow this money on my own. I don't have to be forced to annuitize. I don't have to be forced into a lifetime income benefit rider. I can make the withdrawals and do it at my discretion. Okay, so let's dive in and take a look here at what we're talking about with the Endurus fixed indexed annuity. One of the third bullet point there that you'll see is this is very unique to the market. The reason why is because we have a best entry option. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, it's a best entry. When do you enter or get into the S&P? We give you an opportunity to better your position in the very first 60 days. We'll talk more about it. Enhanced participation indexed interest credit options. This is something new and different that if you're not familiar with it, maybe you had worked with the monthly point-to-point in the old days here. And the monthly point-to-point was great, but I think this is a really good solution to that, or a good solution to pivot to. So the basics of the Endurus are this. It's a 6-year term. There's 6 S&P 500 index interest options and a fixed interest option. So you can go into really 7 different categories. And keep in mind, I want to highlight that it's the S&P 500. Like, how good is that? Because everybody's heard of the S&P 500. I think along my career there, we started to get into these, what I call fancy indexes. Our actuary calls it a bespoke index. And really what they are is these synthetic indexes or made up indexes that really the consumer doesn't know what's going on. They've really never heard of them. And at Revol One, your position with us is, look, this is simple and easy. We're using the S&P 500. Have you heard of the S&P 500? Yeah, I've heard of the S&P 500. Sure, you see it on the TV. If you still get the newspaper, of course, it's in the newspaper as well. So I just point that out because that's something that you can easily cruise over and say, oh, that's not important. But I think in this day and age, it most certainly is. You do have a 10% free partial withdrawal. That's after the first contract year. You do have some nursing home and terminal illness riders baked into this as well. RMDs can be taken without incurring a surrender charge. So the last 2 bullet points there are what I'm driving at. That's kind of the fun stuff that we like to talk about, and this will be what interests you the most. It'll be that best entry feature and the enhanced participation rate. Now, I'm a visual person. I like to look at things visually and see. So I think I have a picture here of you or for you on the best entry feature. Okay, so this example looks a little busy at first when you open it up, but this is S&P data going back to 8/1 of 2022. Fast forward to 8/1 of 2023. Okay, so we just looked at the 1-year period back in August of 2022. Now, I think this is very applicable to today's environment in what's happening. I think some of the pushback that you'll get from your consumers will be, well, Brian, this idea sounds good and I like it, but the S&P, is really pretty high right now. And either I'm going to keep riding it or, I don't know, maybe if it goes down a little bit, maybe I'll do it then when, well, there's the point, right? You just did the wrong thing at the wrong time. I'll wait until it goes down. Why would you wait until it goes down to lock in your gains? What if we were to lock in your gains today? We have an opportunity in the next 60 days that if the S&P does fall, we will start at that new point and go forward from that point. So it's kind of a stop loss or a safety net, if you will. But let's look at the picture here. Let's break it down. 4,119 is your mark on the index value, which is the S&P, on the day that you started. And wouldn't you know, I've got bad luck. I always do the wrong thing at the wrong time. And in the next 60 days, that index drops by 10%. So once it drops by 10% in that 60 days, that triggers a new restart. So what you now have is, rather than starting at 4,119 as you originally signed when you signed up on the paperwork, and it looks like in October there, looks like it dropped to 3,693. That's a 10% drop at the close of that day. That will be your new starting point going forward. And look at the difference that it makes on the index crediting. So if we were just to do it normal, if we started at 4,119 as our mark and we ended at 4,589, the client would have received 5.71%. That's your standard index crediting there. The crediting with the best entry, now using a 50% participation rate, which we have, that's one of the choices that we'll cover here in a bit. 50% gives you 12.13%. I mean, what a difference for the consumer. Now, did you have to time the market? No. Did you have to call in and make a phone call and say, hey, lock it in, lock it in? This dropped 10%. No, you don't have to be busy with that. You can be rest assured that if that happens in the first 60 days, that new entry point will be reset to the lower point, therefore giving your clients a better opportunity to make money. So speaking of money, here's what it means in dollars and cents. So in the standard index crediting, you would have received 105,710. However, as you've already probably figured out or calculated in your mind, with the best entry crediting, the client would have received 112,130. I mean, what a good thing for the client to have peace of mind that knowing they're not doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. Okay, so that's our best entry feature. I think that will be something that sets you apart from the person down the street. You'll be able to say, hey, let's not do the wrong thing at the wrong time, or don't worry. Take that excuse or objection off the table. Okay, so as I started my discussion with Jack Marion, which one of these indexes is the best? which one performs the best? I think the answer will be very, very clear, and you probably already know what the answer is. But as we go through this, you can see that we have plenty of different options. I mean, my goodness, an annual fixed interest rate of 5%. So that's the fixed bucket for 1 year. You could put all the money in that fixed bucket at 5%, or you could break it up. Keeping in mind, we're only using the S&P 500. We've got a 1 year point to point with a cap at 12% cap. I highlight that one very strongly because it's hard to find a high cap nowadays. And the 12% cap, it seems to stick out a little bit. The other story that I like there is, as you drop down just a couple, is we have some 2 year point to points. So in other words, you start today and 2 years later, you look to see what the S&P did and apply a participation rate. I like the story of 50% participation rate. It's easy for the client to understand. Mr. and Mrs. Client, whatever the S&P does in the next 2 years, whatever return it gets, you will be credited 50% into your account. That's a nice story. It's an easy story to tell. Okay, so the bottom two down there, the 1 year point to point with enhanced participation rate and a 2 year point to point with enhanced participation rate. Well, what the heck does that mean? Well, really, you have an opportunity to make money 2 ways. The first is anything over 10%, you get 100% of that. So if the S&P does over 10%, it's 100% credited on that. However, you do have another piece, which is the base of 25% participation rate. Up to that 10%, you get 25% of that. So let's go through an example here. The example says that if we had the underlying index increase by 20% in that period of time, be it 1 year or 2 years, the first 10% on those initial gains gets 25% participation rate, and anything over 10 gets 100%. So I guess it looks like 12.5 because the very first 10% you would get 2.5, and anything over the 10 you're going to get the 100% of that. Okay, so let's switch gears over here real quick to, I'm going to switch my screen here, so bear with me just a second. Okay, it's not letting me do it, so what I'll do is I'm just going to slide this right over the top. So what I've done for you, hopefully you can see that there is a illustration here, and I
don't think we're seeing the same screen here.
You're not seeing the same? Darn it.
So I'm seeing your presentation still. It says enhanced participation.
Yep. Ah, here we go. Thank you for that. Okay, very good. You should now be seeing on your screen just a illustration. And just wanted to share this illustration on the enhanced par. People always ask, well, which one performs the best? This one right now through the illustration is showing very, very nice. All I did was simply go in on a 60-year-old male, put $100,000 in, and I used the 1 year point to point with the enhanced participation rate. I put 100% into that choice and said, okay, what would have happened? It's going to look at the least favorable 10 years, the most favorable 10 years, and the most recent 10 years from this historical last 20 years. And so these are the results. The most recent would have returned 218,000. The most favorable, you would have turned that 100,000 into 279,000, and the least favorable example, you would have had 145,000. So from here, you can see the effective rate for the most recent was 8.16. The effective rate for the most favorable was 10.84, and the effective rate for the least favorable turned out at 3.83. So then what I did was I said, okay, if I don't feel comfortable putting all 100% into just that one strategy, what if I put a buffer in there and use the fixed rate? So in this example, I did 20% into the fixed rate and 80% allocation into the 1 year point-to-point with enhanced participation rate. You can see the buffer worked a little bit on the high end, where the most recent went down to 7.59 and the most favorable went to 9.87, but the least favorable actually came up a little bit to 4.07. So that kind of speaks to diversification and putting a little bit of money in possibly each one of these. So here's the question. Jack Marion posed it. Which one of these is the best? Which one of these do I pick? And the answer he always said to the group was yes. And everybody looked at each other and said, what do you mean, yes? He said, if you're going into a fixed indexed annuity, you really can't make a bad choice. All of these, at some point in time, will perform very well or be the winner. But the good thing for your client is that you're not losing money. So I think that's important to point out, is it's not really the return on your money, it's the return of your money, and you're not losing money. That's huge. You know, this story fits in very well with sequence of returns. If you go out and Google, or I'm sure NFI Solutions has some information on sequence of returns and how that affects you in retirement and taking withdrawals, and when you're losing money, how that speeds up the process of losing more money. So you could fold that into sequence of return stories really, really nice with this product. And you're going to take any of the negatives and you're going to turn them into zeros. Well, that'll have a huge impact on your portfolio going out. So that's our enhanced participation rate. Our best entry rider is something that no one else has in the industry. That's where it resets at a lower index. If it's 10% lower in the first 60 days, we will reset that for you, and you have a lower starting point, which is very, very good for the client. So the only other two people I didn't introduce you to are Can and Will. Candace is head of strategic finesse, and Will there's the director of revolutionary spirit. And both of these are very, very fun cheetahs that we have a good time with at the office. We always say we can and we will. We can and we will. So that's our hope for you, is that you give us a try. You can use this screen to put your cell phone up to it and take a picture of it. That will put you right to the website. And on that website, we have all of our products listed out there. You do not need a username or password, anything like that, to just look at the products. And so I urge you to do that. Really what this is about is learning and understanding that there's a new company out there that has some different ways of thinking. And we're going to continue to put out really, really good product, but you're going to have to contract through NFI Solutions. We want you to get with them and talk to them about these different products. You can always reach myself as well, and I'll probably be reaching out after the webinar just to say thank you. So with that, I think I'll probably stop here. We do have some new products coming out. And so you're going to see some more series. Emmy and I have talked about a series of webinars that are coming out. Because remember, today we covered the camp that says, you know what, I can grow this money and I can withdraw it. Well, we still have to take care of the other side of the camp, and that's coming soon, which is, hey, how about a bonus? Hey, how about some withdrawals? How about some guaranteed withdrawals? How about a guaranteed benefit, death benefit? So all those fun things are still yet to come, but keep your eyes open for some other webinar series here. So with that, I think I may just kind of open it up to questions here. And
Perfect.
do we have any?
Yeah, we do have a couple questions rolling in through right now. Agents, if you have questions, now is a perfect time to send them in and we'll get them answered for you. First one on the list here is, can RMDs be taken in the first year or only after the first year without surrender charges?
The RMDs can be taken in the first year, yes, without surrender charges. Now, it is probably preferable that you have those RMDs taken out first, and then move the money over. But it's fine. We'll work with you. We can do those RMDs in the first year. Great question.
Perfect. Next one rolling in here is, does the S&P need to drop at least 10% to trigger the reset?
It does. So shame on me for not covering that a little bit more in depth, but it does. It's got to hit that 10%. If it hits, say, 5% or 7% or 8%, 9%, it has to hit the 10%. That will trigger that restart.
Excellent. Another one here, is there an income rider available?
So we are working on the income rider. It is not on this product. This product, I will warn you, is an accumulation type product. It's a shorter surrender charge product of only 6 years. So you really should not compare this to a 10-year product. Of course, I did not cover comp, but comp, you're going to have to talk to NFI Solutions about that. I want you to visit about that. So it's a 6-year product that you sit there and you accumulate money. Now, the next step, or Gen 2 products for Revol One, and NFI Solutions is going to help us roll that out, is that we will have a guaranteed income benefit rider. And what we're really liking about it right now, I'll just give you a little secret as long as you don't tell anybody. What we're really liking about it right now is we're really, really strong in the early years of income. In fact, we're about the top. We're the highest. And we're able to do it without fees. So if your customers are concerned about fees, we may be one of only a handful of companies that are doing it without fees. So I really like that story of no fees.
Excellent. What does the liquidity look like on products here?
Yep, liquidity on this product, not necessarily on the other two that I had on the screen, but on this product here, on the 6-year Endurus product, you have 10% free withdrawals after year 1.
Excellent. What happens at the death of the client?
So the death of the client, it's going to be the account value minus any withdrawals, and there is a market value adjustment on this product. So sometimes some questions come out about the market value adjustment from agents. If the market value adjustment is positive for the client, then we give them the benefit. If it is negative and has a detriment to the client, then we don't put that on there. There are no surrender charges. The MVA does not apply at that time, only if the MVA is positive.
Excellent. Another one here is, what are the minimums? I believe we are talking premium.
Yeah, premium minimums on this one are a little bit different than our other one. I believe it's 10,000, but I must have brushed over that. We do electronic application, and so if you and your folks are running into minimum issues, I would suggest that you give us a call and work through that with us. We're open to discussion on the minimums.
Excellent. And then what does the statement look like for the client?
That is a good question. I haven't, well, I've seen it, but it's been in mocked up view. So essentially, you're going to be able to see what indexes you are in or fixed account, and then you will see your return from year to year.
Excellent. Believe that is all we have time for today. I want to say thank you so much for your time today, Brian. We really appreciate it. Remember, folks, with carrier partners like Revol One and an IMO like NFI Solutions, your client's financial success is within reach. If you have questions or need further guidance or are ready to write business with Revol One, please reach out to NFI Solutions at 952-887-1239. As always, stay empowered, stay informed, and may you always be successful. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to next time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, you as well.